Good morning, Year 1. Now first we're going to take a look at this picture. Now with your adult, discuss what's happening. What are the two people doing? What are the weather conditions like in this picture? And does it show us what's happening today or something that happened a long time ago? How do you know? Our learning concept today is to learn about the life of Grace Darling. Grace Darling was a heroine of the sea. Let's find out some more information about who she was and her life. Grace's early life. Grace Darling was born on the 24th of November 1815 in Bamborough, Northumberland. Her father, William Darling, was a lighthouse keeper on Brownsman Island. The island was one of the largest on the Farne Islands, which are off the north coast of Northumberland. Grace lived on Brownsman Island with her family. No trees grew on the island, but there was lots of grass for their goats and sheep. Grace and her siblings would often row out in their boat and explore the cliffs and caves. Sometimes the bad weather made this dangerous, but Grace knew enough about the area to stay safe. Occasionally, passing ships and boats would crash into the rocks, and William Darling and his sons would go to rescue the sailors. Moving to Longstone. The lighthouse at Brownsman Island was important for boats travelling to the Farne Islands. Its bright light was a signal to show them where the cliffs and dangerous waters were. However, it couldn't warn boats of the dangers at the nearby islands of Nadestone, Longstone, and Harkers. William Darling sent a message to the people responsible for keeping boats safe, and they built a lighthouse on Longstone. The family moved to this new lighthouse in 1825 when Grace was 10. It was a lonely place, and this is where Grace would live for the rest of her life. Living in a lighthouse. In the top of the lighthouse lantern, William taught his children how to recognize the different kinds of sea vessels, where they were heading, and what they were carrying. He told them to keep an eye out for anything that looked unusual. For a long time, Grace helped her mother with chores, and she could run the lighthouse all by herself. When Grace turned 15, she and her younger twin brothers were the only remaining children living at home. Because of this, Grace had to row back and forth between the islands to fetch food and help her father. Grace became her father's assistant and was capable of monitoring the lantern, mending fishing nets, and keeping a watch out for vessels in danger. The rescue. On the 7th of September 1838, the paddle steamer SS Forfarshire was travelling from Hull to Dundee, carrying 60 passengers. It was a stormy night, and the Forfarshire was having trouble with its engine boilers. Suddenly, disaster struck, and it hit the rocks off the coast of the Farne Islands. Most of the passengers died in the accident, except some passengers and crew members who had clung to the nearby rocks. There were 9 survivors. As morning drew closer, the survivors were still clinging to the rocks. William and Grace Darling decided to row out to rescue them. William climbed the rocks to reach the sailors, and Grace stayed in control of the boat. The storm raged on, but Grace fought hard to keep the boat away from the rocks while her father rescued the survivors. William and Grace helped all of the survivors onto the boat until all of them were safe. They took the survivors back to the lighthouse, where they were treated for their injuries and looked after them for 3 days until the storm had finally passed. After the rescue, Grace Darling became a heroine. The Victorian newspapers loved the story of her outstanding bravery. After publishing her story, Grace became a celebrity. Word had spread to Queen Victoria, and she received a personal letter from her. She also got a lot of posts sent to her, requesting to visit her. She got money and gifts sent to her too. In Victorian England, it was possible to buy plates, postcards, and even boxes of chocolates with Grace's face on them. Grace sadly died 3 years after the rescue, aged only 26. She is still remembered by many across the world today for her bravery. After the rescue, Grace Darling became a heroine. The Victorian newspapers loved the story of her outstanding bravery. After publishing her story, Grace became a celebrity. Your task is to read this information about Grace Darling. Take your time and read the information twice. Then answer these questions in full sentences from the information that you have read. Once you have finished all of your questions, why not do some research of your own using the links below to help you?